Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. Thank you again for joining us for our conversation about the transformation of mental health through social work. We have been looking at this from both an individual level and also from the opportunities that come in being in the social work power certificate course that we run on Fridays from 3:30 to 5 p.m. So you can come to one, you could come to all of them, just come and explore for yourself what it is to be a social worker and to harness and discover, harness, embody the power that we have, not just for the clients that we serve, but for ourselves and our families, our loved ones, our communities. So today we're going to continue the conversation about what it means to be a social worker, what it means to be a powerful human being in the domain of social work, how we can embrace that, and what might be in the way of being able to do that. And so on Friday, at our most recent course that we had some level of conversation about the barriers to being able to embody and embrace what it means to be powerful as a social worker and what power means. And it was a really, really dynamic conversation in the ways in which this idea of false power comes up as well. When there may be a way in which we're operating that is an attempt to have power in context with the clients that we serve, and that there may be this underpinning of that in some of our interactions so that we have a sense of power and authority. And so it was a really sort of rich and thoughtful and very, very profound and deep conversation. So today, some of the conversation we're going to be having is about what some of the barriers might be for us to embrace power and embrace our power as social workers so that we can do the kinds of things that we are called to do in social work, in sort of transforming mental health. Again, all of this leading to a conference that we're going to be having in March that is going to be all about this process and the journey that we're on in both the self-discovery of our power as social workers, how we can then use that to really have the kind of bigger impact on the mental health system that we really are looking to do. So, in some of the conversation that we're having today, or some of the things to think about as we continue these kinds of conversations, are things like, the things that come up around impostor syndrome. It's going to be one of the topics that we have a conversation about this coming Friday, which is on the 29th. So again, if you want to join, please do so and join the conversation. So what is the impact of things like imposter syndrome, and any degrees of self-doubt that we have or that we may have about what it means to be powerful, and some of the limitations in some of the ways that we think about ourselves, that even the idea of being somebody of power would be sort of like, no, me, what are you talking about? And so really taking a look at that and seeing how it comes up as imposter syndrome, also, and also things like burnout and compassion fatigue, and how much we do for the people that we serve, where we put ourselves at risk for it. It's only been, a newly added portion of our NASW Code of Ethics is about self-care and the prevention of burnout. And number one, it taking so long for something like that to be included as one of our codes of ethics, right? One of our ways in which we have to operate in the work that we do it falls in line with sort of like not putting the mask on ourselves first when the plane is going down, but always reaching to make sure everybody else is taken care of. So it's an important conversation to have in how these things like burnout and compassion fatigue affect our ability to maintain a level of power and authority self-authority, self-power, so that we can consistently affect the kinds of changes that we want to impact. So I'm going to leave it there for today to just talk about and think about those two primary things. There's a whole bunch more for us to be covering in this, but we really want to get a sense of what is it. And if these two things are things that come up for you, right? Imposter syndrome and burnout and compassion fatigue. If those things are the things that come up for you as a potential barrier, or are just at least a place to look and see when I think about who I am as a powerful social worker, who I am in this role, what is if there are any, right? If there's no barriers, I want to hear from you too. If there are barriers, really taking the opportunity to take a look and see what those are about. Because we can only do something about things when we actually open up our level of awareness to them and be willing to do something about it, the same that we would ask our clients to do. So join me in this journey. Let me hear from you. Put your comments in the chat box. And I look forward to our next conversation, which will be on Monday, where we'll be going back and looking at social work power through the lens of some of the articles that we have been publishing on this topic. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Please join us in the conversation. And I look forward to hearing from all of you very, very, very soon.